Well, I think the market is over-worried about the policy tightening. Inflation is running at 5%, and many people think underneath it could be actually higher. The government has started to tighten at the margin, but I would also think that the government is falling behind the curve with rate hike and liquidity tightening. However, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding in the market how China runs its monetary policy. There is a huge amount of foreign exchange reserve accumulation, so that's a issuance of money, and the government is raising reserve requirement to sterilize it. That's not a serious tightening, I think. So I think the worry is a bit too much.
When are they going to move to raise interest rates again? What's going to be their next move?
I think with the rate hike, again, that's not a binding constraint. It's not a serious form tightening. That's in China, that's kind of chasing after the inflation expectations. We expect 3 rate hikes this year. Probably next move will be after the Chinese New Year. Even with the 3 rate hikes, the real interest rate for depositors, a 1-year deposit, is still going to be negative. So again, it's a bit falling behind the curve. That's why we think this year inflation is probably going to be higher than the government's target of 4%. Growth is also going to be higher. So we just upgraded our growth to 9.6% for this year.
With regard to the yuan and its uses as a tool to fight inflation, is there any chance we're going to see the Chinese government allow it to appreciate at a more rapid pace?
Well, our expectation is that RMB Dollar will appreciate by about 6% this year. So that's a bit faster than the last couple of years. But I think fundamentally the government wants to take a gradual approach. And that's probably out of a lot of political as well as other economic concerns. So inflation itself is not a serious factor for the policymakers. I personally think they should allow for a faster appreciation. But I just doubt that will happen.
So if we just go back to Hu Jintao's visit to the U.S., we had Stephen Roach saying and warning the U.S. as well that, you know, it's no good to impose sanctions against China. That's not going to help anyone. If you want China to buy your goods, best to keep good relations. And also pointing out that China is on the path to rebalancing its economy. Do you think that that is happening fast enough?
Well, I think rebalancing the economy means, change the economic structure. With any structure change, it's going to happen gradually. Just as in the U.S., the issue is that, U.S. probably needs to save more. The case in China is that people need to save less, both for the household as well as for corporate. But you cannot, that cannot happen in 1 year or 2 years. So I think gradually the government is increasing the social spending, is trying to, liberalize certain prices, and so it's happening to some degree.